Well, good morning, Central Coast, and welcome to Rhema CC. I'm Lindy. I'm your Sunday morning host here each Sunday morning. So welcome to yet another week. Yep, you betcha. We are starting off, it is obviously a new day, but it's also a new week. So I'm hoping and praying that your week is going to be a week of absolute joy, that you're revitalized, refreshed, you're ready to go. I know for me, it's been a week of I've been tired this week. I've been exhausted. I have absolutely no reason why that might be. It's just one of those weeks where I'm like, got nothing to give. But I'm hoping and praying that next week will be a week of let's go, let's do this, let's get back out there and let's do. Even though a few weeks ago we talked about the do and how that can be quite dangerous from time to time. Not dangerous as in physically dangerous, but just it can be a little bit, we can kind of get sidetracked on the things that really matter, can't we? It's kind of one of those things that just keeping our eyes on the prize and what really matters is important. And I think when we get a bit preoccupied with what we're doing all the time, as we covered a few weeks ago, it can be a bit tricky. It can be a little bit like, I've lost sight of what I'm actually doing here or why I'm doing it, and the list goes on. It can wear you out, leave you feeling really defeated, really, all sorts of things. It's important to work, obviously. It's important to contribute. It's important to get out and about, but to the point of which, you've got to find that balance of going, at which point do I call time out and rest? Sunday, obviously, we look at the Sabbath. If we look at things from a Christian perspective, the Sabbath it's there for us to have a rest. So I hope you're able to take some time today or in the next few days, just call time out and just say, hey, I'm done. I need a rest. If God can't do it 7 days, then why should I think I can? Because I am not even I'm not even a speck in the scheme of things. But perspective, I think. Rest if you can get that. And get ready to keep going. Now on that, we've been talking over the last few weeks, we've been talking about what would Jesus do? So it's a bit of a theme that we've been covering for a few weeks now. I'm going to cover it probably this week and next week, and then we might move on to something else. But it's been really cool just to reflect on how Jesus would handle different things, different scenarios that even today we come across, we deal with. Issues, topics, situations, if you like. How did he handle it, and what should we be learning from that? How do we then take that on board and work out how to do things best for him, and to be like Jesus himself? Big call, huh? Really big call. So today we are talking about something that I don't always feel comfortable with. Not everyone feels comfortable talking about this. I don't know if people even like thinking about it to a degree, but it is the aspect of money and how it works in the world. And I was looking at Jesus's response to a few different situations or people as he was sort of walking the globe. And I found it interesting just to kind of just focus in really sort of what we were just talking about a moment ago is that priorities, that sense of priority and what's important to us, and what drives us, and what, working out where we stand in our faith based on what our priorities are. Now, this is it is a hard one, because I don't know about you guys, but I have seen quite a few businesses going under in the last few weeks, last few months. I've seen lots of for lease signs at businesses that I would have thought at one point were thriving. And, you know that there's a cost behind that. You know that there's people who have been really, really hurt, or who have been put through a situation where they feel like a failure, where there's elements of just no hope. And I think there's an element of absolutely need to be sensitive to those situations, because it's a real situation. I know for my parents, they got very, very close to losing their house when I was younger, and it's real. It's a big deal. It's like, this is, all of my possessions, all of the things that I can, hold on to with reasonable amount of security. I know that in life there's never complete security, but it just shows you how shaken we can be when we are forced to consider how easily things can slip from beneath us from a financial perspective. Now, I know that we are all very different. We have all got different situations that we're in. We're all very individual. Some of us are doing okay financially. Some of us are not doing so well financially. I think the heart of what we are dealing with is at the core of what we need to explore. If we're thinking about how Jesus would respond to this issue, the issue of our approach to money, our heart's focus on money, I think it's a really good place for us just to spend some time this morning, just working out what would Jesus do if he was talking to someone in a particular setting when it came to money. So we're going to talk some more about that this morning. Well, not some more. We're going to talk some about that this morning, and really dig into where we fit amongst it. I do apologise if my voice is a little bit croaky today. It's not quite there today, so I'll give it all I've got. But by the end, I may not have much of a voice, so we'll see how we go. In the meantime, guys, we're going to go enjoy this song, and I'll see you back before too long. See you soon. And that was I'm Gonna Live by DJ Madge. Good morning, guys. Welcome to Rhema CC. I'm Lindy. I'm your Sunday morning host here. And yes, I am Lindy. I have heard during the week that Linda is working, I think afternoon shift is where we kind of hear her voice. So we are different people, obviously. But yes, Lindy and Linda. I'm with a Y at the end. She's obviously with an A with that at the end. But it's not too bad, is it? To have very similar names. We've actually got a few different names that are very similar here at Rhema. It's interesting. It's a bit strange how that happens, but yeah, we've got a few that kind of cross over in a few different ways. But yes, Lindy, I'm here on Sunday morning, guys. I am so thankful you're joining this Sunday morning, and that we can catch up a little bit and work out how we're going to let the morning evolve. It's going to be cool to spend some time together. If you are here for only a moment, I do hope and pray you are having a beautiful day. I hope that the morning is looking quite promising for you. And if you're here for a while, welcome. It's awesome to have you sticking with us. Whatever capacity you're able to spend some time with us here at Rhema CC, we are thankful. We are so thankful that you can get behind us. And honestly, that is a genuine statement. We are so thankful that you can get behind not only what happens here, but just it's part of a community. It's that whole Central Coast community thing. It's something beautiful when you can see a community within a community sort of combining and joining and building each other up. And I have to say the Christian community here is on this coast is it's encouraging. I think it's a beautiful thing to watch. And there's something evolving which is beautiful. I think there's a beautiful formation of this oneness, I think. I hope and pray that God continues to protect that, and that we just woven into each other more and more. That sounds a bit strange, but you know what I mean? Like that unity of the churches, the individuals, and the church as a whole, that we just become so aware of just God's presence in all of it. And that we remember to say thank you. That we remember to say thank you to Him for what He has done, what He continues to do, the way He provides and provides and provides. And He is a God, as I said, who is the ultimate provision. It's pretty surreal. So on that, guys, we are going to, let me just pause there for 2 seconds, because it is kind of along the same lines of where we're going this morning. We're talking about a few different things in regard to money. So before I get too heavily involved in that, I just want to let you guys know something, because we do have some exciting news. We're actually one of 3 entrants in the Greater Banks Community Funding Program for February. Now, if we get more votes than the other 2 organisations, then we win $2,000, and that obviously would be really helpful. You can vote once per day, every day, right through to 5 p.m, and that's on Wednesday, 26th of February. So why not set a daily reminder on your phone so you don't forget to vote every day? Vote for us today and every day by clicking on the banner on our website or at the top of our phone app. And please tell your friends about this so they can vote for us too. That would be really, really helpful. Yeah, money. It's one of those things, isn't it? That's what we're talking about today. Yeah, so money is one of those things. It's one of those things that I think the world tends to think of as kind of being it helps the world go around. It keeps things functioning, keeps things moving. But we're talking today about how Jesus responds to the concept of money. And does He really value it the same way that we do? Well, there's a few different considerations. So I actually looked into this because we have been talking about what would Jesus do, and sort of exploring things from a few different perspectives in terms of the issues that we see today that are still, that we saw them in a previous time when Jesus was walking the globe, and we see them now. And money is certainly one of those things. So I'm going to start with the widow's offering. Now, this is actually a little story that we see in both Luke and Mark. And it's very simple, but it just goes into the heart of how Jesus views the heart, like our own hearts. It's how he views us in terms of money. So I'll start with this. This is from Mark 12, verse 41 to 44. As Jesus was sitting opposite the treasury, he watched the crowd putting money into it. And many rich people put in large amounts. Then one poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which amounted to a small fraction of a denarius. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, "Truly, I tell you, this poor widow has put more than all the others into the treasury. For they all contributed out of their surplus, but she, out of her poverty, has put in all she had to live on." And if we look at Luke 21 verses 1 to 4, I'll read that to you as well. It's the same story, but again, the last few weeks we've been covering different aspects of each sort of issue or story of Jesus from a few different Gospels, just to validate the stories behind it. So again, Luke 21 verses 1 to 4. Then Jesus looked up and saw the rich putting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw a poor widow put 2 small copper coins. "Truly I tell you," he said, "this poor widow has put in more than all the others. For they all contributed out of their surplus, but she, out of her poverty, has put in all she had to live on." And that says something, guys. It says that he's watching, and he's watching the heart of who we are and what we do. And he's not deterred by the things that we do or do not have. If we can give, and we can give well, as in if we give when we are uncomfortable, when we are not sure how we're going to be impacted, that's the heart that he's after. He's after the heart that says, "I know this could put me out for a bit, but this is really important. I understand it." And I think Jesus' response to this is a real challenge for us. It is understanding that money is of value, but it's also understanding that from a spiritual perspective, it is the heart that is so much more of so much more value in all of it. And I guess what we were talking about last week with the wedding, I think when we look at the gap, we look at the situations where we're like, okay, don't know how we're going to cover this. The fact that we have we're following it up this week about talking about money and just how how important it is to keep our heart right. I think there's a real challenge in terms of faith for us as well, because we can look at the gap, we can go, I don't know how I'm going to make this. Obviously, we've seen the story last week that Jesus was like, okay, I've got it, don't worry about it, it's all good, I've got you sorted. He provided the wine at the wedding. And in this case here right now, we are looking at his perception or his how much he values the concept of money. And in this, he's saying if someone's heart is there and going, I'm going over and above, even though I don't know what this is going to cost me because I have nothing to offer anyway. He loves that. He loves that, and he honors it because it in his mind and his perception, he is saying it is worth more to me than what other people can give just because they've got more. One of the concepts I think is hardest as a parent is to teach your kids, really the concept of money. I know this week it sounds terrible, but I'm going to tell you a story. This is bad parenting, but I'll put it out there. It's all right. Just keeps me real. Our youngest is not a fruit eater. He's not a vegetable eater. He does not like it at all. So this year at kindy, they've been doing crunch and sip. And every day he's been trying a little bit more. Been trying and trying, but that might mean 1 or 2 bites of whatever. So this week I was so desperate just to get him to eat something decent that I said, if you go to school and you have 10 bites of that apple, I'm going to give you $2. Anyway, bribery, yeah. It doesn't always work, but anyway, I'll keep with the story. So he thought that was a fantastic option. It was wonderful. Got home and he was so proud of himself because he'd had the 10 bites out of the apple. He'd really tried. And I was like, that's fantastic. I'm going to give you the $2. And then he said, actually, I really want to get this. He had this little aeroplane thing that broke during the week. So I said, well, maybe we could go to the shop instead and get that. And that could be it. So for him, it was a case of, oh, that's a great idea. But then it came to, I'll just take the aeroplane and still expect the $2. explaining to your kids the concept of money is so hard because it's like, oh, I can't make sense. I can't explain this to you in the most simple form. And yet we look back at this story of what Jesus is saying to his disciples about the heart of the poor widow. It's not that complicated. All he's saying is, give me what I will really value. I will be so much more thankful for those who know it's going to cost something, who know it's going to be a burden to them, but put my needs and my priorities ahead of their own, because that speaks volumes. Putting things aside, going, what's mine is not actually mine, it's yours, Jesus. That's the gist of what, a financial sort of aspect. I think that's what Jesus is urging us to be like, to give, just to give as best as we can, and he honours it. So as complicated as it is to have children, have little munchkins, and to try and explain all that stuff, when we look at this, I think the most simple truth that we can give them when we look at how Jesus responded is, it doesn't, when we love Jesus, when we have a relationship with God, it is so important to just keep our eyes on him and to serve him, not only with our actions, as in our interactions with each other, the way that we speak, but what we do in terms of the things that we have been blessed with. It's that whole concept of what's mine is actually yours. Anyway, guys, I'm going to hold it there for a bit, and I'll see you before too long. Well, let me just say thank you. And that was thank you by Ben Rector. But thank you for joining us this morning. I hope you're having a beautiful morning, guys. It is Sunday morning. Welcome to Rhema CC. I'm Lindy. I'm your Sunday morning host here. As I said, it is a good opportunity really just to stop and say thanks. And we talked about that a little bit before. We were talking about the willingness to just stop and thank God for all that he has blessed us with in terms of how we live our life. Now, we're talking this morning about money. So that's a bit of a, what do we do with this one? I don't know about you guys, but not all of us are comfortable with talking about money. It's one of those things. My eyes tend to glaze over a little bit when I hear about money. I'm like, whatever. Come go, whatever. I've never got any, so that's just how it is. It's just like, it's in, it's out. It's not, the bills are getting paid. But thankfully, I can look around and go, my goodness, God has provided anyway. The bank account may not always suggest that it's, thriving, but I've been given, thankfully, all that any of us need, and I think there's some stuff in that for us to be aware of. What do we need? What do we really need? And we can get very sidetracked by the world's definition of what success means, what we can, the expectations we have of ourselves. We can get caught up in what a failure is considered. And instead of going, what does God view as success? We can get a little bit, we can be very human in that way, I guess. It's one of those things. So today we've been talking, and we will continue to talk about money and how we might consider things from a perspective like Jesus. So we talked a little bit before about the poor widow who actually gave 2 coins. That's all she could put in terms of her contribution to, just the work of the disciples and Jesus were all sitting there as others were sort of contributing, massive amounts of money, but they also had massive amounts of money. And this poor lady contributed to, the cause of it, like she gave two little coins, and that was enough for Jesus to say that contribution right there is more than anything I'm seeing beyond that. The people here, they might be able to financially donate or give a lot, but their heart is not necessarily where hers is. Her heart is in a place of genuine it's contribution. It's just this real sense of giving. And we're being challenged to be like that, to be the same way. He says that's what he values. Now we're going to move on to the rich man. So we're going to spin things around a little bit different, from a different angle, different perspective. And we're going to talk about the rich man. So what does Jesus have to say about him? And what does he think we should be taking on board in terms of our understanding of having an abundance? So let me read this for you. This is found in Mark 10, and the verses are from 17 to 25. the rich man. As Jesus was starting out on his way to Jerusalem, a man came running up to him, knelt down and asked, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" "Why do you call me good?" Jesus asked. "Only good is truly good. But to answer your question, you know the commandments. You must not murder, you must not commit adultery, you must not steal, you must not testify falsely, you must not cheat anyone. Honor your father and mother." "Teacher," the man replied, "I've obeyed all these commandments since I was young." Looking at the man, Jesus felt genuine love for him. "There is still one thing you haven't done," he told him. "Go and sell all your possessions and give the money to the poor, and you'll have treasure in heaven. Then come, follow me." At this, the man's face fell and he went away sad, for he had many possessions. Jesus looked around and said to his disciples, "How hard it is for the rich to enter the kingdom of God." This amazed them, but Jesus said again, "Dear children, it is very hard to enter the kingdom of God. In fact, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of God." So there's a few aspects there that we can look at this. Jesus obviously is obviously passing on his wisdom in terms of a few different levels there. He's talking specifically, if we look at it, the ending, he's saying, to have a lot, it can mean you can find it harder to see me, to see the kingdom of God. It can mean that things can get a bit blurry and uncomfortable. It means that you might find it hard, or he's saying it actually is harder, for those who have a lot to enter the kingdom of God, to become part of his kingdom. I probably just repeated myself there, but you know what I'm saying. The more I'm saying it, the more it's kind of gelling with me too. I'm like, whoa, there's a lot to that. Now, certainly there is something that we then could be thinking about. He's got Jesus' wisdom in this. We can be thinking about, what do we do if we've got a lot? How do we keep our eyes on Jesus? How do we keep our eyes on what he is wanting from us and what he expects from us? And, how do we allow him to be the to be the whole focus of why we do the things we do? How do we allow and how do we maintain that ability to keep our eyes on him and ensure that he is first? It certainly sounds like, Jesus is calling it straight out. He's saying it's going to be hard. If you want or you have a lot of stuff, a lot of possessions, a lot of financial blessing, that can become a real burden in terms of you being able to have a relationship with me, have a relationship with a relationship that's going to lead to an everlasting life. It can be really distracting, and I think that's very, very true. One of the things that in terms of counselling, I think one of the themes that we often see is I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. It's not going to come out malicious or uncomfortable, but one of the things I think that we see quite often is the stuff getting in the way. The stuff getting in the way of who we are meant to be. The stuff getting in the way of our relationships with others. The stuff getting in the way of our relationships with God. I think every one of us can watch all sorts of things on TV, and we can see what people put out there as a sign of good fortune. It might be the houses, it might be the cars, it might be the land, it might be, holidays, it might be whatever. But when that becomes the focus, there is so much harder for us to sort of zoom in and actually see Jesus face to face and go, okay, what have you called me to as a person? Because people might see my stuff and I see my stuff, and they are a distraction to me spending time with you, to me having this relationship with you. I do hope this is making sense. It's making a lot of sense in my head, but I don't know if I'm communicating that well. In no way am I saying it's wrong to have stuff, and I don't think Jesus is in this situation either. I think he's just saying the priorities of our heart, and again this goes back to the two different stories we've covered already this morning. The place of where our heart is, that has to be questioned continuously. Now, this is one of those things that I'd like to, where's the line? Like, what do you say? What do you do? My uncle had the most beautiful property, and he lived in, I'll just give you northwest Sydney. so I won't actually go specific, but his house was featured on places like Better Homes and Gardens and things like that. Absolutely stunning property. Massive house backed onto a land that, it went down to a path where you could do a bushwalk through the back. It was beautiful. And he built that place himself. He was, he is and was and is a very clever man. And I mean, I can't even explain to you just how massive the place was. It was just huge. I had my first wedding. I had they had a separate swimming pool area, so we actually had floors put down over that, and we had our first wedding in that section. It was just a beautiful space, and just an amazing place to live. But I also had, it was not at my wedding, it was somebody else's wedding. I had I would just say somebody who was in ministry come and ask my mum if they were Christian, because how could they own this much stuff if, they were Christian? And he is one of the most godly men you could meet. My uncle is. He's a beautiful man. They don't own that property anymore, but at the time it made me very aware of how judgmental we Christians can be, because we see things and we go, there's no way that you could know God because you're doing this or you're doing that. Or I think it lies deeper. There's some stuff there that we need to be challenged on. And this is not about what would Jesus do. This is about what we should be doing in terms of our own judgments. Now, what this person didn't know was that my uncle opened his home to anyone and everyone. He would allow all sorts of events through there. As I said, I had my wedding there, my first wedding. It was not just his and my auntie's home. It was a home that was open to anyone. And I think that when I apply that to this, I'm like, in terms of worldly possessions, he might have had a lot, but his heart was, I'm his niece, so I've got some bias there, but I really believe that his heart was in the right place, because it was not a case of I own this, look at what I have done, I have built this, he's the most humble man, he's a beautiful man. And but he was like, no, this is not my place, this is God's place, it's his. This is about what he wants to do here. If he wants to better bless people through the possessions that I have, they are his. So I don't believe that Jesus, when I look back at this story, I don't believe that Jesus is saying don't own anything. I believe that what he is saying is, if you are given it, you've got to be prepared to at any point say, I don't need it, it's yours. And that's a hard one. When it says here to this rich man, there is still one thing you haven't done. He told him, go and sell all your possessions and give the money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me. He's calling us, guys. He's calling us to see things like he does. I do apologise for my phone. I've had phones going off all morning. It's been a bit strange. But anyway, just being aware of the fact that, it's a heart thing. Doesn't matter if we've got nothing and we need to be able to show Jesus that we are putting his love and his value into our life through the things that we can give, or if we have an abundance and we can be checked in and kind of go, will you get rid of it if it comes to it? Will it matter if it goes? That's the question. It's finding that balance between the two. There's a lot in it, guys. I'm going to leave it there for now, and we'll explore some more money sort of related issues when we come back. So I'll see you then. Welcome back to Sunday mornings here at Rhema CC. I'm Lindy. I'm your Sunday morning host here, and it's a delight, as I said before. If you happen to be in before and you were sort of checking in and you're still stuck hearing my voice. Oh, you lucky ducks, you lucky things. Anyway, but I still mean it. It's a great opportunity to celebrate the fact that it's a new beginning, it's a new day, and it's a new opportunity to be challenged. To be challenged this morning, especially by how Jesus does things, how he did things, how he sees things, and in particular, how he sees money. We're talking about money today, so it's a bit of an out there one of those ones that we don't necessarily want to talk about because it's like, it can get a bit messy, but it's important from a biblical perspective for us to take on board how he views money. But before we get into that, I just want to just hold things for just a second because I've got some exciting news for you guys. Did you know that we're one of 3 entrants in the Greater Banks Community Funding Program for February? If we get more votes than the other two organisations, then we win $2,000, and that would be really, really helpful. So you can vote once per day, every day, right through to 5 p.m. on Wednesday, 26th of February, so it's coming up. Why not set a daily reminder on your phone so you don't forget to vote every day? Vote for us today and every day by clicking on the banner on our website or at the top of our phone app. And please tell all your friends about this so that they can also vote. Money, it's a big thing, isn't it? It kind of is. We hold our breath and we kind of wait and see how things happen sometimes, and other times we're living in abundance. And I think that's a journey of life. We don't quite know where we're at. Some people we look at and think, oh my goodness, you've got it all together. Look how much you've just got it just flowing from everywhere. I know my older kids have struggled with that because, I've already told them that when Mike and I pass on, they're going to inherit a whole lot of debt, so they're going to be very lucky. When I say that, it's okay. It's all right. It's going to be okay. But that's the thing. I think our perception of money is at the heart of what Jesus is asking us to think about when we think about money. Now, for me personally, I'm not one who cares about money at all, really. I should. Sure, I think there'd be times where I think it could be easier to have a lot or a bit more. But I've learnt the value of enough, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean I think the experiences that I've had as a single mum and the experiences I've had as someone who has lived and worked amongst people who literally have nothing, I'm like, okay, the line of having enough is okay for me. I don't need to have any more than that. Certainly if God wants to pour on the blessing, sure, I'm not going to say, don't do that, God, it's okay. I'm going to be okay with it. But I've also learnt through time that it is more about putting His plan for my life above that stuff. And unfortunately, unfortunately, I'm not sure which way to say that. We can't take it with us when we go anyway. It's a for now thing. Financial sort of our possessions and our financial state or where we're at the moment, it's not something that will go on to the next life with us. It's not going to pass through and come to heaven with us. It's just a for now thing. And I think it's our perspective during this life and what we do with that really matters to Jesus. Now we look at Zacchaeus, the tax collector. I'm going to read this passage to you. This is another story, guys, if you're new to Christianity. It's another story if we see a glimpse into how Jesus finds or views actually a few things, but I would say money, but also his relationship with the tax collector. So the tax collector at this time, he was not someone that the whole community thought, I want to be a part of his life. I really love this guy. He was not loved at all. He was not someone that people really respected. Now this gentleman here, his name is Zacchaeus, and he really wants to see Jesus. I'm going to read the passage to you, but I'll explain more why we're talking about this in a sec. So from Luke 19, 1 to 10, Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, he is gone to be the guest of a sinner. But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount. Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. There's a lot of purpose in that. Jesus is basically claiming right there and there, I'm here for this reason. I'm here to find those who are in the mess, who are distracted by the stuff that we've talked about before this morning. I'm here for those people. I'm here not only for those who need healing, for those who need, wisdom. I'm here for those who need what's the word I'm trying to find? But, basically Jesus said the lost. They're confused by the things that are around them. I'm here for those too. I'm here for those who have nothing. I'm here for those who have plenty. I am here for that reason. So there's a lot in that statement that Jesus kind of calls out there. It's a case of, I'm here for everyone. I'm here for all of you. And it echoes again that emphasis on the stuff, whether that's materialistic stuff, whether it's financial, overwhelm. It's that stuff that can become an issue between us and God. Now, there's a few things there, I think, for us as well. What would Jesus do? Well, obviously, we'll look at that Zacchaeus being somebody who, as I said previously, he was a tax collector. He was not a good, well-loved person in the community. No one wanted to spend much time with him. He was frowned upon. The way that he did things was not something that people liked. And I guess we can understand that, because if we were having half of our, we were being taxed in ways that just didn't quite make sense, there was rules being bent, and I can see how society would be wanting to turn on that and go, hang on a sec, I don't have time for you. But this is a case of us being reminded that to Jesus, there is hope in every one of us. There is hope in us if we are someone who slides behind. We might be someone who is actually quite sly, somebody who goes behind the scenes, tries to make the most of the situation for ourselves, who is so egotistical that we just think about what we can get out of it. Now, we live in a world where narcissism is it runs rampant. It's everywhere. It's about me, how I look, how I'm presented, what I can get out of a situation. Narcissism is a large part, sadly, of what we see in interactions in a lot of circumstances. Now, that's a pretty broad statement, but I stand by it. I really do believe that we live in a day and age where it's all about me, and what do I look like, how do I present. I would love to say that I'm innocent of all that, but every one of us have aspects of that, because we can get very self-absorbed so easily. And I think here we are just seeing how Jesus crosses those boundaries. He says, no, don't care. I want to have this communication with you. I want to have a relationship with you, Zacchaeus. I want to come and spend some time with you. I'm coming to your house, actually. I want to come and hang out with you. It's going to be really good. And, the issue that we see here is that there's a few things, actually. There's those who turned around and kind of go, why would you want to be a part of that? And Jesus is just saying, this is the reason I'm here. I'm here to actually be here for all people. And guys, this is a challenge for us. What would Jesus do? I'm sort of fumbling through my words today because I'm a bit tired, so I apologize for that. What would Jesus do in this circumstance? He would love everyone. He wouldn't love everyone. He wouldn't love the rich tax collector purely because he could get something out of it. He wouldn't love him because he would give him a boost and allow people to see who he was. He wouldn't love him because he lived in a world where it was about what I can get out of the situation. Jesus loved him because he loved him. And that is a very big difference to how we see things done in the world today. If you are honest with yourself, I'm sure you can see characteristics of that in some of the people that you know. Maybe you are guilty of some of this stuff yourself. Maybe you have been someone who's got to know someone purely because you think, if I get to know them, then they might help me with. This is not what we see here. We see Jesus going, I don't care what you have. I don't care who you are in this community. I just want to get to know you. I don't care about that stuff. And that powerful message of I just want to know you has the ultimate response of seeing Zacchaeus' response. Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I've cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay it back 4 times the amount. Something about the way that Jesus loves and loved and showed Zacchaeus in that moment. It was powerful stuff. There was some real stuff there for him, because suddenly he realized, I don't care about any of this stuff. It's yours. You can take it. I want to give it to those who actually need it. I don't need this. I need to know you more, Jesus. Now, if that's you guys today, if you happen to be someone who wants to know Jesus more, if you are not aware of, if you don't have a relationship with Jesus, you don't know a lot about Jesus yet, he's there, I can promise you. There is so many things that you can learn about him through looking at his stories in the Gospels. Now, I've mentioned before, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John specifically talk about things that Jesus did. So you can get to know so much more of who Jesus was in that. But more than that, it's a case of you can have a relationship with God right here and now. All you have to do is really just say, hey, God, I recognize that I've got my priorities wrong. And, that might be a case of, it may be similar to this. It may be a case of money being an obstacle. It may be possessions that become an obstacle. There may be other things that you recognize should be a priority. If we go back to the story we talked about before, he highlights to the rich man that, he knows all the rules. He knows the recommendations and the way he's told to honour his mother and father, to not lie, to, all the stuff that we know as the Ten Commandments. He knows all that, but when it comes down to it, where's his heart? So that may be an issue for you, and if it is and you want to know Jesus, spend some time with him in prayer. Prayer is nothing big, it's nothing huge, it's literally just saying, I want to talk to you, God. I want to talk to you, Jesus. I want to just put it out there, this is where I'm at. And it's a beautiful transformation. If you want to know Jesus to a point where you want to have a relationship with him that goes far beyond this lifetime, it is a matter of acknowledging where you've been, the issues that you may have had, the stuff that you may have done. It's all of that. It's laying it before him and saying, all right, God, can you please take this because I recognize I've got it wrong. I've done some stupid stuff in the past. I've had this as a priority. Whatever. But I want to have a relationship with you. And you know what? You look at John 3:16, the whole purpose of Jesus is, it tells us in the Bible, and it says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him shall live, or basically live forever. So John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Wow, that was really bad on my end. My brain is needing a rest. I'm going to call it, guys. I'm having a rest. We'll leave it there. All right, I'll see you guys soon. And welcome back, guys. That was Deeper Love by Landry Cottrell. Welcome to Rhema CC. Welcome to Sunday morning. Welcome to a new beginning. Hope you've had a good morning. Guys, stick around with us after 10 o'clock this morning because we do have church on the radio. And that's always a good way for you just to kind of feel like you are a little bit connected with the Christian community here on the coast if you happen to be around and you can't get out, or maybe there's stuff that's going on where you just think, no, I can't do it today, can't leave the house. Certainly the church on radio is a good option for you to still be connected with things happening here on the coast that give you that little bit of, I don't know, just a validation. Hey, I've been to church in some way. And it's a good place to be. I apologise straight up. I am losing my voice. I'm losing my voice and my brain cells apparently because in the last little section, couldn't even remember the Bible verse I was trying to quote. But anyway, and it's, the most famous Bible verse in the whole world pretty much. But John 3:16 if you're interested in that. But anyway, my brain is hopefully going to make it to the end here. Don't know what's going on today. Very, very tired. Do you ever feel like you've just got like a million balls in the air and you're just thinking about all the different things, all the different times, and it's just like, yeah. I did mention before that I've been very tired this week, so I think that's probably a case of, all the balls in the air and I'm trying to juggle them, and it's not easy, but it's life really, isn't it? We don't have much choice. But just keep pushing through. So I will keep doing that this morning, guys. We've been talking about money. We've been talking about how it can impact us. We've been talking about the heart behind money that Jesus values. And certainly it seems like the stories we've covered. We've talked about the woman, the poor widow, we call her. We've talked about the rich man and Zacchaeus, the tax collector. Now, there's a few different little glimpses of Jesus' interactions with those who, money is an aspect. And through all three that we have covered today, it has been a case of we are seeing that Jesus values the heart more than the money. He values, where we are, and he wants to meet us wherever we are. He applauds those who give and give and give, especially if they've got nothing to give. And he certainly calls us into question to, be able to make us really think about what we do with an abundance and how we honour him in that, how we respect him in that, how we love those around us through the blessings that he has given. And we certainly see, we spoke just before, probably about 20 minutes ago now, we're talking about Zacchaeus, the tax collector. We see in this situation that he is basically saying that, if it comes to it, you can have a lot. If it comes to it, the question is always going to be, are you going to be okay to give it up for me? And Zacchaeus obviously demonstrates here that for him it was a case of, I recognize that my relationship with you is so much more important than what I have. So I'm here. I am. I'm going to give you half now. It's for those who need. It's not for me. I don't need this stuff. I want to give this to those because I recognize that my relationship with you is so much more important. And I think that what we have covered today is that question of the heart. Where is your heart in everything? I know it's a tricky one. Money is not something to be comfortable. It's not something comfortable that we talk about. It's not something that comes with ease, even in our social norms. We can be a very jealous bunch. We can be very judgmental too. We can be very, very much a case of why they're doing that. And the heart of it, really, I think Jesus is just asking us to be mindful of how he sees things and to be willing to put that aside for him, whatever that means. If it means putting aside our other priorities in case, like when I look back at the poor woman, her priority was Jesus. It was giving honor to him with giving everything she possibly could. But then we have other situations where people do have a lot. They've got money sitting aside, and if it's there just for a rainy day, it's probably not a lot of, Jesus is basically saying there's not a lot of point in having it if it's not going to help anyone else. It's just sitting there. It's like if you get rid of that, then I can know that. Not that if I can get rid of that, if you can be willing to show me that you would, if I asked you to, just put it aside and just say, I don't need that. And then I know your heart is really connected to me. That's what is really important. I know for myself, one of the things I still value about my husband is that we got married 20 years ago. We legally got married in March, had our wedding in April. And one of the things, even still today, I really value is the fact that he gave up everything to be over here with us. He gave up his family, his friends. He gave up his job. He gave up his financial, not that they earn a lot where he was from, but that was some security for him, and he gave it all up. And I think that what we are seeing, same thing here, we are seeing Jesus saying, what will you give up for me? And I think it's beautiful when we look at the bride of Christ and referring to the wedding. Jesus is the groom, and we, the church, are the bride. It's that coming together when we look at marriage and what we're challenged to be in marriage. The willingness to give each other up. The same thing applies here, and when we look at money, it's will you give this up for me if I need it? Where's your heart? Am I your priority? That's what Jesus is asking. Certainly some stuff for us to think about, and I do apologise that my brain is so scattered today. I am hoping and praying that I can get it a bit more together this coming week. I've got a little bit less going on next week, so hopefully I won't be as scattered. But yeah, definitely something for us to think about. Guys, if there are things in your community that you can get behind financially, if you are in a position where, you go, okay, I really feel like I have enough, I need to be moving towards supporting the work of God a little bit more, then there are certainly places where you can do that. And a lot of people are really struggling at the moment. So yeah, do your research, and if you can get behind those who really need it, the organisations that are touching people's lives. I know Christian Radio is one of those situations where they are constantly putting some great stuff out there. There's hope being put out there into the airwaves. There's so much, but there's a financial burden to that too. And that's just one example. There's so many elements. There's scripture that's in writing. There's things that you can get behind from a financial perspective. If you feel like Jesus is saying, yeah, I want to see it. I want to see how much you really value me. Do you really want to see other people get to know me? It's big, and I'm not saying that to make anyone feel guilty, to make anyone uncomfortable. I'm just saying there's a challenge in that for all of us. And yeah, anyway, gonna love you and leave you guys. Have a beautifully blessed week. I am praying for blessings over you guys, and just you hear and you feel and you experience God fully during the next 7 days. I'll be back here next week, and take it easy. I'll see you then. See you guys.